Hello!
Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we are taking a look at the bright red mammoths with the best-selling game on every Nintendo console. For this list, we'll be looking at games that topped the charts on their respective consoles. The games that made sales on sales on sales and moved more product than any other game. For this list, we'll be including handheld systems as well. Did you somehow manage to miss out on any of these games? Shout out in the comments below. Before we continue, we publish content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified of our latest videos. Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Mario Bros. Let me just dish out a quick pre-warning for the rest of this video. This tiny little plumber is going to appear a lot. The NES changed the home console forever and was at the forefront of game development. Tetris, The Legend of Zelda, Double Dragon, these are all classics that were birthed and enjoyed by thousands on this fantastic home console. But one game sold 12 million more copies than the second highest seller, and that was Super Mario Bros. Although it wasn't technically Mario's first appearance, it was definitely the spiritual beginning to arguably the most successful gaming franchise of all time. The game combined a fun gameplay style with an interesting world and used some tricks and hacks to make it possible on a console where this style of game didn't originally seem possible. Not only were they thrifty and clever with the development limitations, but they showed other devs what was possible if you think outside the box. 40 million copies sold, and the mamma mia, that's a lot of coin. Game Boy, Pokémon Red, Blue, and Yellow. The Game Boy and the Game Boy Color were pioneers in handheld game development. They made the industry wake up to not only the possibilities, but also the demand for portable gaming that wasn't just pick up and play, but more rich and full. Releasing and shipping more than 46 million units, Pokémon Red, Blue, and Yellow were slightly different versions of the same game, making them not only interesting and replayable, but cooperative as they made use of Nintendo's link cable to allow for trading and battling between Game Boys. This game not only outsold games like Super Mario Land, Link's Awakening, and Kirby's Dream Land, but it spawned an incredibly successful series of games, animes, and merch that would sell. Super Nintendo, Super Mario World. Often considered the greatest Super Mario game ever made, Super Mario World on the SNES was a groundbreaking feat in game development. Replayability and a decent amount of secrets, Super Mario World is a game that is still heavily enjoyable today. The game took full control of the SNES hardware, which for the time was pretty damn awesome. A fun design combined with a controller layout that made a lot of sense and allowed for more game control, the SNES was a staple in most gamers' homes. Super Mario Kart, Star Fox, Donkey Kong Country, Final Fantasy VI, these games were all top sellers for this console and are still remembered 25 years later. But the plumber won out in the end. Nintendo 64, Super Mario 64.
Hello!
Now we're talking, now we're getting into the good stuff, now we're eating the red mushrooms. Mario 64 was not only the highest selling game for the Nintendo 64, but it's also arguably one of the greatest games of all time. Beating out absolute mammoths of the time like GoldenEye and Ocarina of Time, Mario 64 took full advantage of the 3D capabilities and showed developers what you could do with this somewhat primitive system. The game was a knockout for all ages and offered some substantial replayability that checked boxes for questions game publishers had been asking for years. Mario 64 is a staple in modern gaming for both speedrunners and casual fans, and has been ported enough times to make it accessible for everyone. Let's go. Nintendo GameCube, Super Smash Bros. Melee. This is a game that defined an entire console. The often forgotten GameCube came with its own selection of outstanding titles, including The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, Super Mario Sunshine, and Resident Evil 4. But I don't believe there was a game store on planet Earth that didn't have a console setup with Super Smash Bros. Melee ready to go. Melee took everything the N64 had set up and improved upon it with both far superior visuals and a better roster of characters. The system, although not without its own amazing selection of single-player games, was, at its core, a multiplayer system, and Melee made that really clear with incredibly accessible 4-player multiplayer. This series only continues to grow with strength, and many would argue that's due to the success of this 2001 entry. Game Boy Advance, Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire. Nintendo has, without a doubt, the best selection of handheld consoles. There's no arguing it. But between the Game Boy and the DS is the sometimes skipped over but unbelievably fun Game Boy Advance and the subsequent Game Boy Advance SP. This tiny system made a significant leap in quality from the previous Game Boy Color to a handheld console filled with bangers like Super Mario Advance, The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords, and Golden Sun. One game, well actually two, sold more copies than any other, and that is Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire. This edition brought brand new visuals, double battles, new Pokémon abilities and contests, and there was something else. Oh yeah, 135 new Pokémon. Ruby and Sapphire brought Pokémon into a new era, and we should thank the Game Boy Advance once a year by feeding it a sacrificial goat. Nintendo DS, New Super Mario Bros. Hey, look who's back. The Nintendo DS broke a record of its own by being the highest selling handheld console of all time. Selling a whopping 154 million, it has only been bested in video game sales by the PS2, which sits only 1 million higher at 155 million. That deserves a round of applause. With classics like Nintendogs and a borderline abusive amount of Pokémon games, the Nintendo DS topped its game sales with the new Super Mario Bros. This Mario game was praised for bringing new mechanics and updated visuals whilst maintaining the general vibe and tone of the classic Mario era. Mario takes another medal. Luigi can suck a bag of toes.
So nice.
Nintendo Wii Sports. If I miss this part, I'm going to throw this goddamn controller through the window, a real sentence I was recorded uttering in 2009. The Nintendo Wii was a groundbreaking console as it featured full motion controls as its default. Mario Kart Wii, Wii Party, Mario Party 8, this console was made to be the perfect party console, serving to entertain groups, and entertain it did, with Wii Sports. Wii Sports featured 5 simple games: bowling, golf, baseball, tennis, and boxing. The whole game was designed just to show off the capabilities of the motion controllers, and it didn't just show them off, it blasted away the competition.
Nice approach!
Nintendo 3DS, Mario Kart 7. The 3DS is one of those devices that will never die. With its clever design and full use of its specs, it single-handedly blew the PSP out of the handheld competition and became a system that still gets a lot of playtime even in 2023. The system revitalized and remastered a lot of older games, bringing them to new audiences, but their highest selling game, Mario Kart 7, was fresh off the press, and people loved it. With added characters, vehicles, levels, and game modes, this was a Mario Kart that was never bested. Until Nintendo Wii U, Mario Kart 8. Back-to-back winners. Mario Kart took the highest sales record for a second console in a row with Mario Kart 8. Offering a glimpse into the history of Mario Kart, this entry added new features and honored the maps and characters that built the series. The Nintendo Wii U was an unexpected commercial failure for Nintendo, but featured some winning games like Splatoon, Super Mario Bros. U, and Breath of the Wild. Not a bad lineup for an often forgotten console. Nintendo Switch, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Mario Kart 8!
Mario Kart absolutely smashed it. 3 consoles in a row. Not only did Mario Kart 8 make the most sales, but it kinda did it twice. Animal Crossing New Horizons came in a smooth second place with its own innovative and faithful reimagining of its franchise, but somehow it was still beaten by a game that had already come out on a different console. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was the highest selling Mario Kart game of all time, with a whopping 53 million sales, on a console that brought us Tears of the Kingdom, Pokémon Sword and Shield, and Super Mario Odyssey. the red-hatted crusader wins again. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MojoPlays and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of our latest videos.